It's still a shock and a disappointment. Everywhere the media looks today, where there were elections, everywhere the Democrats, the White House looks today, folks, if they've been living in denial, yesterday was the biggest wake-up call that they've had in probably 3.5 years. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people think that issues like the deficit and the national debt and no entitlement reform and no budget and all that, those kind of issues drive this, and they do. There's no question they're important. But I'll tell you what else. It's the little things. It's things that people, when they tell you you can't buy a standard light bulb anymore, people aren't going to put up with this. They're just not. Now, when a pollster shows and asks you, what do you think about gay marriage, so that you won't be thought of as a big, I'm all for it, I love it. But when you have a chance to vote for it, what happens? It goes down in a landslide. And it's the same thing, don't doubt me, with all these polls that show Obama's likability, 65%. If Obama's so likable, how come nothing he stands for gets even close to winning now when put to a vote of the American people? It's the same thing. The pollsters don't know it, but they're being lied to. Maybe not even consciously. People just, somebody calls you on the phone. Hi, doing a big survey. I'm from Gallup, Acme here, and I want to know what is your opinion of gay marriage? You're in North Carolina, and people on the phone. Well, I don't want them to think I'm a bigot and a homophobe. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Same person goes in the privacy ballot box. Got a constitutional amendment defining marriage as that between a man and a woman. Hell yes, that's what I'm voting for. That's what doesn't matter what they told the pollster. It's little things like TSA agents feeling women up in the line at airports. That kind of thing turns people out to vote against an administration and a government that seems insensitive and unconcerned that this kind of stuff is going on. So it's a whole smorgasbord of things that is behind this. The Tea Party's not dead. It is very much alive. And the message, both in Wisconsin and in West Virginia and from North Carolina and Indiana, the message sent is that moderate, inside the Beltway, GOP establishment Republicanism is not the future of the Republican Party at the ballot box. Now, I'm doing my best here to contain my enthusiasm because this is only May. The election's a long way off, but I am here to tell you, I don't want you to doubt me on this. I don't care what you hear and what you see from drive-by media types on television today and tonight, what you read from mainstream media types. I don't care what you hear from the spokesman Jay Carney or Joe Biden or anybody associated with the administration. The truth is, they have been rocked with what happened yesterday and last night. These are huge landslide victories with a barely containable Republican electorate, Tea Party electorate that showed up and voted. And remember the conventional wisdom that all these people on the left had told themselves, Tea Party's dead, occupies where it's at. All the enthusiasm is on the Democrat side. Can't wait to get Wisconsin back. Can't wait to get rid of Scott Walker. Can't wait to put the unions back in charge. North Carolina, these people are lying to themselves. Even today, the New York Times, you'll read stories of how popular gay marriage is in this country. It has yet to win when put to a referendum type ballot in any state. It's either 31 or 32 states. It's gone down the tubes. Yesterday was November 2010 all over again. Yesterday was November 2010 and then some. All over again. And one of the many messages that I'm taking from what happened yesterday is a very comforting one, by the way. People don't want any more of this. The people simply don't. I don't care what they tell pollsters. I don't care what they say outside the ballot box. They get a chance to privately count. They go into a polling booth. Nobody's watching. It's just them, their conscience, their hearts, their passion, their mind. The people of this country don't want any more of this. They've had their fill. Dick Lugar, fine man. I mean, there's no question in terms of just a guy. He's a fine guy. But if you're not from Indiana, I didn't know. Dick Lugar's residency did become an issue in the campaign. He doesn't have a residence in Indiana. Well, the North Dakota, the Democrats' convention in North Carolina, let me tell you about that. You talk about, the Democrats chose North Carolina for the convention because it's become a swing state. They need it. What is happening in North Carolina, I guarantee you there are people wishing they could pull out of there and not do that convention in North Carolina now. You just know the Democrats are having second thoughts about it. The big problem before yesterday, the big problem was that the unions were upset because North Carolina's a right-to-work state. So all the dues that they launder for the Democrat Party go to non-union labor. The money laundering operation that we've described here doesn't happen in North Carolina. One of the reasons they went in there was to try to establish it. But after yesterday, after the constitutional vote on the definition of marriage, there is the problem of so much Democrat money going into the pockets of redneck hicks are so backward they believe that marriage ought to be between a man and a woman. There are Democrats today saying, what the hell are we doing throwing money into that state? Look at what's happening to us in that state. Our governor quits. Our ex-Senator John Edwards on trial for campaign fraud, messing around with having a child out of wedlock, all that kind of stuff. His wife is dying from cancer. Now this. We got a bunch of... And if you look at North Carolina, here's another interesting stat. Except for Wilmington, every city, every metropolis, from Raleigh-Durham to Charlottesville, the definition of marriage amendment lost. How can I put this? The cities voted Democrat on the initiative. The cities in North Carolina, they're not large, but the cities, the metropolises, all voted the Democrat position on the constitutional amendment, and it still lost by 22 points. So the blue cities in North Carolina all went Democrat and they were still dwarfed and outnumbered by all the hayseed hicks that don't live in the cities. They skunked them. And so now you're going to have these Democrats scratching their heads and say, what the hell are we doing throwing money into a state like this where there's so many damn stupid idiots that think marriage is between a man and a woman? What the hell are we spending our money there for?